Hey everybody, it's Dana and welcome to the Hero Arts My Monthly Kit for March 2023. Let's go ahead and get into it. So today I am using the Classic kit because remember Hero Arts now has two kits. So within the Classic kit, you're going to get a clear stamp set, 10 coordinating dies, you're going to get a fruit cling stamp set, intensified black ink. You're going to get these adorable clay fruit embellishments, and you're also going to get 2 sheets of paper in coral and kiwi, and they are sized at 5.5 by 8.5. And you're also going to get 5 sheets of watercolor paper that is a standard size A2 card base, which is 4.25 by 5.5. So let's go ahead and get into today's card. Let's go ahead and get into the card making. I'm going to use the large cling stamp that comes in the kit. And I love this stamp because you can make like 5 by 5 cards, or you can trim down the panel to be the 4.25 by 5.5, which is like our standard cards that we make. So I did make sure to remove all the foam and the backing from my MISTI to go ahead and put in that cling stamp. Now for my ink today, I'm going to be using the Hero Arts Intens-ified black ink. This is a really nice crisp ink to use, and I know I'm going to be doing some ink blending, and this ink works fabulous with that. Now, in order for my paper to stay in place, I'm using Dove White cardstock here. I'm going to place it down and then use some tape. This tape is going to allow me to stick the paper to the lid. Now, if you wanted to, you can do this in the reverse. You can actually put the paper in your MISTI and then put the cling on the lid like you would do regular stamping. But I find sometimes by doing this, I kind of get a better impression. Again, you can do it either way, does not make a difference. I just kind of like to have my paper on top sometimes. So now I'm just making sure to line up the design on where I want it, and then I can go ahead and close down my lid. Now this card is going to be so pretty because 2 things I want to share with you. You could totally stamp this and leave it black and white, and it would be a stunning card. Or if you wanted to color it with Copic markers, if you wanted to do it in watercolors, which would be great because in the kit you get the new neon colors, so that would look gorgeous with this. And if you want to see those neon colors, you can go ahead and look at my blog post for the countdown, and you'll just see how gorgeous those neon colors are. All right, I went ahead and closed down my lid, and now I'm using my little tool here just to press the stamp into the paper. Now, sometimes when you're stamping and you're stamping with a new stamp and you don't like condition it with the back of your hand, you just might have to stamp it twice. And that's what I'm going to do here because I want to make sure that I have a very crisp image before I go on to the next portion. So as you can see, I'm going to rub that over, and it looks like I'm giving it like, heart compressions, but I'm not. I'm just going to make sure I get all of that image on there. Now it's time to do some heat embossing. I knew for this I did want to emboss my fruit and vegetables, so I am using clear embossing powder from Hero Arts, and I'm just going to go ahead and sprinkle that over. I just decided after I stamped it, I did want to have a little bit of a raised area to it over my fruits and vegetables. So that's why I'm deciding to go ahead and heat emboss this. Now I do make sure that I get the embossing powder everywhere because as you know, once you start heat embossing and you don't have enough embossing powder, it's really hard to try to go back and correct that. So I am just making sure I get a full coverage on this, and then I can go ahead and start heat setting this. Now, you know when your embossing powder is melting because it will go from like a cloudy color to like the dark color. So as you can see here, it looks a little bit cloudy, but as I start heat embossing, that black becomes more of a shiny black. So that's when you know you're heating your embossing powder correctly. And I just make sure once I heat emboss everything, I go back and do another check before I stop my heat embossing. Because if you miss a spot and you start coloring, it's a little bit hard again to go back and correct that. All right, now since everything is dry, we can go ahead and start coloring. Now, I decided that I already knew I wanted my color to be straight down the center of my card. So I tried to line this up right onto my grid mat. And then I'm taking some purple tape and I'm using the wide one. And this is going to allow me to just tape off the sides, and I can go ahead and add my color directly to the center. Now, all the products I'm using today, I will make sure to link below just in case you wish to create this card as well. All right, I have my tape on both sides, and that's going to protect and keep those areas white. So once I have that taped off, I made sure that everything's kind of even, and then I'm going to go ahead and wrap that tape just to kind of get it out of my way. Now it is time to do the fun ink blending. So I decided to pull out a ton of my core inks here. And again, I'll list everything that I use in the description box below, but we're going to go ahead and start with Fruit Punch. Now, how I'm doing my ink blending is no different than regular ink blending. I'm just adding my color. So as you can see, I'm going to add a little bit of color, bring it in from edge to edge. Now, when I'm doing a rainbow, I will say I like to start with my red on one end and then switch over to my purple, and then I can blend in between. I just feel like if I don't do the purple already, I'm going to end up losing or not having enough room to add that purple. So that's a little tip for me. If you're doing a rainbow color palette, just start at the top and then go to the bottom rather, and then blend everything in between. And that's going to kind of guarantee that you're going to be able to have that rainbow effect and not lose that purple shade at the end. Now I went back and just made sure to blend everything so I can get those color variations and get all those lovely colors of the rainbow. And now look how beautiful this card is. Before I take the tape off, I do just want to clean my work surface, and I also want to wipe off any extra ink because I just don't want it to get all over my fingers. So once I wipe that down, I go over just a little bit to make sure I get any ink that's sitting on the top of the colored panel, and then I can go ahead and pull back this tape. And look how pretty that looks. Remember I said this looks great if you just kept it black and white. Look how gorgeous it is if you just add a strip of color down the middle. It is still a majority like black and white card per se, but just that pop of color in the middle really makes the fruits and vegetables stand out. And I would tell you, I love this so much, I ended up making another card just like it because I think it was just so pretty. Now, I did not like the stark white of this. So what I'm going to do is just use the residue that's left over on my ink blending brushes. And I'm just going to tone down that stark white. I just want it to be white, but not like in your face white. So I'll just go back through all of my colors again and just soften up that stark white. Now, once I had that complete, I did want to trim this down because I had noticed that I wasn't even when I laid down my tape, and I did know I wanted to mount this onto black cardstock. So I'm just being mindful to trim it down so I have equal parts of the white showing, and that my rainbow part ends up to be more towards the center. So this is just an easy tip that if you feel like you're a little bit off when you're doing this, you can definitely trim down your card panel. All right, so I went ahead and I grabbed a pitch black card panel, and I'm going to go ahead and lay this down. I did use my Hero Arts Precision Glue because this is going to allow me to have just a tad bit of wiggle room to lay down this panel. And look how pretty that panel looks just with that little bit of black along the side. I really think it lays nicely anytime you use rainbows by adding just a pop of black. So I can go ahead and line that up. And once I get everything in place, I can go ahead and press it down. Now I do like to press in so I'm not letting my glue go out the other side. And now I'm going to go ahead and place this piece down onto an A2 card panel that was made out of the Hero Arts Dove White paper. So this is going to be a side folding card, and then I can go ahead and press this into place. And the black panel was trimmed down just a bit so that I can have a little bit of the white from the card base showing. And again, I'll just go ahead and press that down and clean up any glue that might be squirting out. But look how pretty this card is. Now it was time to dress this card up. So I went ahead and I already stamped out a sentiment, and this sentiment is from the coordinating stamp set that's in the kit this month. But I wanted to add these adorable clay fruit embellishments. Oh my God, you guys, these are the cutest little things ever. They are just too precious. And they come in your kit this month. And as you can see, there's plenty of them, so you can make a whole bunch of cards with these cute, adorable little clay embellishments. So I'm just going to sprinkle them out into my tray just so I can see what I have. And then I'm going to go ahead and start adding these to my cards. Now, these just give like a fun little addition. And if I'm correct, I think there's a fruit piece for each fruit and veggie that might be in the stamp set. I think, I'm not sure. But I am going to add a few of these off onto the black and white area. And then I can go ahead and pop up my sentiment. So I am just going to use some thin strips here of foam tape to pop up that sentiment. I don't want a lot going on with this card because I just really like the rainbow part of this card. So just by adding a smaller sentiment, nothing too big, it really does help the eye, draw the eye actually into the center of the card. And I think that's what's so special about this card. And I was having a very hard time on trying to trim down this foam tape. So I'm just going to grab my scissors and snip that off, and then I can go ahead and add on my sentiments. And again, by adding this in the black and white, it's staying consistent with the black and white color of this panel. So I'm going to go ahead and pop up my sub sentiment right underneath. And look how pretty this card is, you guys. It's such a simple card, and you really could mass produce this. Now, once I was done, I decided, I want some of those cute embellishments also on the rainbow part of my card. So I grabbed just a few more of those just to add an accent to the center of the card. Again, I just used my precision glue to press that down into place. And then we have this gorgeous, bright and happy card. Look how pretty that is. All right, everybody, that's a wrap for today's card. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I will see you guys in another video soon. Until I see you again, take care and be safe. Bye-bye.